Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Impact Lab podcast. I am delighted today to have a good friend of mine with me, Levan. Levan, how are you doing, brother?
Thank you. I'm good. And thank you for inviting me to
Oh,
this
it's
podcast.
absolutely my pleasure. Levan, as is tradition on the Impact Lab podcast, we have to prove that we are human beings by doing the reverse Turing test. So, Levan, what is the project that both you and I are working on at the moment?
Central Park Towers.
Okay, Central Park Towers, aka, I hope you can see that, CPT. Absolutely. So, for those of you who still think that we're I don't know what else to do. Until the blockchain comes and proves that we're real, we are actually going to have to keep doing the reverse Turing test. Levan, I'm really, really happy to have you with me today, specifically because you live in Georgia, in Tbilisi. My brother just came back from Georgia, and he was
Really?
raving about it. He was saying that it's like he literally couldn't believe how much fun him and his family had. So let's just start. Where is Georgia? Tell us a little bit about Georgia.
Uh, okay, so Georgia is a quite unique and interesting place because we have huge history that comes from the, I don't know, from almost Neanderthal periods, because we even have remains of pre-Homo sapiens humans on our lands. We were also part of the Greek mythology. I don't know if you heard about story about the Jason and the Golden Fleece. It was about Georgia. About at that time, we had a kingdom called Kolkheti on the Black Sea. Georgia is located on the Black Sea. As I said, it has a huge. It's an old country and settlement, and it has a huge history. Recently, it was a part of the Soviet Union. And Georgia's history, by the way, was always turbulent because we are a small land in the middle of the big neighbors, and we always had to protect ourselves from our big neighbors. And you can see it in the Georgian culture. You can see a lot of for example, Ottomanic influence, and you will see a lot of Persian influence. You will see a lot of Russian influence in architecture, culture, and etc. Georgia is also unique. We are one of the countries that has one of the rare countries that has its own alphabet and its own language. And by the way, we even have three alphabets. We're not using we're using now only one. Um, and as I said, we are post-Soviet country. And after Soviet Union fell, we were first CIS country that left Soviet Union. And we set up an example, and other countries in CIS followed us. And after that, we grew steadily, and right now, we've seen a lot of growth in every industry, tourism, tech, and in every possible industry. And as I said, we have a big culture. We are located right on the Silk Road, and we were part of this famous trading route. And because of that, our culture is really diverse and really tolerant. You can see it in Georgia. You can see churches from different religions, from different countries. And it was always part of the Georgia to have this openness and hospitality, hence the impressions of your brother, right?
Yeah, 100%.
About
That's exactly
Georgia,
what he said.
because to be honest, I think that sometimes we're so hospital that it's a bit annoying.
What about like natural resources? What's the economy based on? Do you have like oil, basically?
No, we don't have any particularly large amount of any resources, but you can say that one of our unique resources is a grape. We are from one of the most popular theory, where we are the first country that developed winemaking.
Really?
8,000, 9,000 years ago. So, and we have a huge grape culture, and we have a lot of different types of grapes and vines in Georgia, and it also one of this pleasant part of the Georgian hospitality to drink these unique Georgian wines.
Okay, so there's no sort of natural resources apart from sort of grapes. So explain to me then, how is it that Georgia has got one of the fastest growing GDPs per capita?
I think it is because of its geopolitical positioning, because it's right in the middle of the Caucasus Mountains, and it's well protected and nested in this southern North Caucasus Mountains. We have a sea, also the Black Sea, and because of that, the Georgian we have really diverse nature. So starting from resorts, for example, the coastal resorts, we have a lot of interesting skiing resorts. We have a great land for agriculture because we have every possible climate, you can say. But the Georgia climate is also subtropical climate, and because of that, almost you can you can grow here almost everything, and it's a perfect place for tourism also. Because, as I said, we have really diverse nature, really high mountains, we have seas, we have lakes, rivers, so it's really rich in the nature, really green, and this is, and also, as I said, it is a part of it was historically part of this famous trading Silk Road, and still now we are in the Caucasus. We are a central country in the Caucasus, so we are connecting every country in the Caucasus. So, like if you want to go from or transport something from Turkey to Azerbaijan, the shortest way it will be to cross the Georgia. Same if you want to do it from Armenia, I don't know, from North Caucasus, from Russia. We have also pipelines from Azerbaijan that is going to the Turkey and Europe. So geopolitically and strategically, it's positioned in really dynamic and interesting place. So I think this is the biggest driver of our growth. And because of that, historically, we had a lot of people coming in and going in Georgia, and we were getting a lot of information and the culture from other countries, and it was always dynamic. So I think that's the most.
One of the things my brother said is that he ate, in Arabic it's called rijla. I don't know what it's called around the world, but he said, you wouldn't believe it, they've got rijla and it's really good. It's way better than it is in Sudan. And I was like, well, how do they even make rijla? But then that kind of makes sense what you said, because it was on the Silk Road. It's like a nexus point for so many different cultures, and it's an ancient country. You mentioned tourism. What parts of the world most often come to Georgia? Are they mostly Germans, Europeans, French, Arabs?
I can say, by the way, I can add, for example, during Soviet period, Georgia was one of the most popular destination in Soviet Union to visit, and because in Soviet Union you couldn't visit anything else except Soviet Union. We have a lot of tourism, inbound tourism in Soviet Union, and so right now I can say that we have biggest traffic from, this is three big regions, GCC, CIS, and Europe. I think that's where we're getting biggest pool of tourists. By the way, we are also the candidate country for EU membership, and we have visa-free entry in EU. So it's really easy for us to go in Europe or to visit us from Europe. We have you can visit Georgia from visa free from 100 different countries. Right now, by the way, like in 2024, we had the 5.5 million tourists visit the Georgia, but Georgian population is only 3 million people. So tourism is bigger than the country, and it's booming right.
It's incredible. Look, Levan, thank you so much for joining us on the show. For our audience, I'd love to hear about your evolution, your story in marketing, where you started and where you are now.
Okay, to tell it briefly, like I started in my early teenage years as a graphic designer. And then I realized that I didn't want to work on the only one aspect of the creative. I became art director. Then I want to have the broader view, and I became a creative director. And during this time, I already worked for more than 15 years in the advertising agencies. My biggest background is in advertising agency. And then I realized that to zoom out more and to move even into more strategic position, I have to go to the marketing. And also, I was always complaining on my clients that they are not doing things right. So I made a challenge to myself. Now you become a client, and let's see if you can do better. So briefly, this is a brief story. But I love to learn new skills. I love to learn things and unlearn things, and I like to evolve. So that's what.
So you've worked both client side and agency side, which is sort of same as me. Like, what do you think is the biggest difference working client side versus agency side? Did you start agency side or did you start client side?
Yeah, agency side. I started with agency side.
So what made you take that jump?
Okay, so I never imagined that I would shift myself to the client side, because the clients were these boring people. That was that was like hindering the creative process and growing and creative ideas. But then when I got a broader and broader perspective, and I realized that I wanted to have more control, more strategic control on the project that I'm working with. Then I realized the importance of the client's job. And I can say that the biggest difference for me is that it is it's less fun, I can say. And you have more responsibility, because when I was in the agency, I just had to work on this particular thing that partner should have solved. Clients should have solved. But now, then, when you're becoming a client, you realize that you have a lot of problems that you have to solve, and never enough resources. So it is really strategic, and it's a lot of hard work and less fun.
I guess
more satisfying, I can say.
Yeah, I bet it is more satisfying, because I think that's probably the biggest thing that I miss is that when you're client side, you get to see things all the way through. You get to watch the evolution of one thing over a period of time. Whereas agency side, you're normally coming in, coming out, or you're on the edge of helping something move through. And then, but I do think that everybody agency side should work client side, and vice versa, because I think that a lot of the times, I have this with my team all the time. I say, you guys, you don't know what's going. Like, okay, they didn't respond to an email. The client didn't respond to an email for 2 days. Yeah, but it's not because he doesn't want to respond to an email. It's because he's got 500 other priorities happening. He doesn't have enough resources. He doesn't have enough time. So I always think it's useful for people to experience both sides of the marketing mix. So how did you get into like the space you're in now, which is like, if you like, I don't want to call it real estate marketing because it's more like investment marketing, but how did you get into Orbi Group?
By the way, this shift was pretty predictable. Orbi Group was one of my clients. And by the way, Central Park Towers, the project that we're working on, was one of the projects that I worked most on for the Orbi. And we had a good synergy, and they liked how I was servicing them. And then Orbi offered me to get into the marketing of the whole marketing of the Orbi. And it was really interesting challenge because it was huge for me because in Georgia, Orbi is the biggest development company. And I realized that the universe sent me a huge opportunity to try myself in this really big strategic role. Right now, especially now, because right now the Orbi Group is working with a lot of international brands and companies. We are inviting those brands into Georgian markets and starting up them here. So I'm getting a lot of experience and growth this in those projects. So basically, that's that.
Can you tell us a little bit about Orbi Group? Like what for those of I know obviously what it is, but for those who've never heard of Orbi Group, it's a massive organization, but one of those that many people have never heard of. Just tell us a little bit about it.
So it is really massive and interesting company. Orbi Group is the biggest landowner in the Batumi. Batumi is a coastal city in Georgia, and Batumi is second biggest city after our capital, Tbilisi. And Orbi Group started working as a developer in the Batumi, and we had in the middle of 2000s, we had we changed our government, and this new government that came introduced a lot of uh, Western capitalistic policies, and which is still driving the Georgian growth because it's really easy to open business here. It's really easy to set up bank account here. We have really good tax policies. We have minimal taxes on everything. So it's a really good place to do business here. And this policies was, by the way, adopted from this UAE and Singapore and all those new emerging capitalistic countries. And during that period, Orbi started to work in really massive projects. One of the biggest, visionary, massive project of Orbi is Orbi City, which is in the Batumi, and which started in the end of the 2000s. And it is a part hotel with 16,000 rooms, or apartments. And this is you can say it's the biggest hotel in the whole world. And during that period, it was really visionary because in people's mind, Batumi was this small old city where more like a European small classical city. And our founder had this vision that it will be something much more bigger. And after this project, Batumi just blew up because other developers also followed, but we already were on the front lines. We still have the biggest project on the Batumi, and this is our one of the biggest flagship projects. And after that, we bought a lot of land, started a lot of other projects, and basically that's how we became biggest developer in Georgia. And still now, for example, uh, I'm sure you already noticed on Central Park Towers, we are visionaries on the market because you can't compare the brands that we have in Central Park Towers and the scale of it to any other Georgian developer.
Yeah, like as you're describing that mega development in Batumi, the founder didn't build a hotel, he built a whole city. 16,000 apartments or rooms. That's incredible. So that a lot of people say visionary and then it's just like a word, visionary, but actually when you do something like that, that is visionary. I wonder though, because we've spoken quite a few times and I always get the same feeling when you describe Georgia, it really does sound more like a Middle Eastern GCC governance system than a European governance system. Like it's very rare to hear in Europe of mega projects because that Batumi project is essentially that's a mega project, and it's very because mostly if you were trying to do that in Scotland or in France or you'd be 30 years of paperwork and red tape and all of that. But it sounds like Georgia, from a governance perspective, is really light and like truly capitalistic. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. You get it exactly right.
And now you're working on Central Park Towers, or we're collectively working on Central Park Towers. There's some things you can say, there's some things you can't say, obviously, in public. But why would you say that? Like, for a lot of clients, we have to do a lot of research, and a lot of the times, if I take one of my clients, for example, they sell a franchise business, and when we're doing the modeling for like the potential returns on investment, there are a lot of assumptions baked into that, right? And we've had other clients in the real estate space where there's an investment opportunity, but then you have to bake in a lot of assumptions. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, the Central Park Towers investment model, it almost seems too good to be true. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, it wouldn't really make sense to me. So how is it that CBT's investment model can firstly be guaranteed and secondly have such good returns compared to, the old school playbook of real estate investment of Dubai and London and Paris?
Because this is an unconventional project, you can say, because it is, as we call it an integrated resort. There is a few in the world. And Central Park Towers is not just a hotel with restaurants or cafes or one hotel, even just one hotel. It is like a whole massive unity of world's best brands in different business fields. Like we will first we have like one of the best brands in the F&B sector with the Michelin stars. We'll have a biggest casino in Georgia. We will have a Radisson Blue Hotel, and also we will have a second. Unfortunately, I can't name the brand of the second hotel, which is a huge worldwide brand. We will have their Harvey Nichols, and that means that we're not building this just to sell. We're building the train for our business and company that will drive infinitely. And the people who are becoming the investors, and who are buying the hotel rooms, they are just hopping on our train, basically. Because this is a huge project that will generate money during decades and maybe hundreds of years. So that's why for us it's feasible to make such a great offer for our potential clients.
Yeah, and we can't say what the other brand is, but it is a genuinely global powerhouse of a brand. And so to even just have those associated with it. But again, even when you talk, you said that you're talking about a project. And if I didn't know you, and if we didn't have a relationship, I would assume that this was happening in Riyadh or in Abu Dhabi or in Doha. there's nothing that you're describing that sounds European. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to sound like controversial. It's just they're really aggressive projects that you're successfully delivering. And that seems to be, in the last 15, 20 years, that seems to have been reserved for the GCC. But it appears that that's happening in Georgia too. And I don't think a lot of people are even aware of it. It's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast, because Georgia is this like hidden gem of a country that has been the center of civilization for millennia. And most people couldn't even point to it on a map.
So basically, you're exactly correct. And since you are familiar with the GCC countries, this is the case of countries like Georgia, for example. And it was, I think, the same case for the UAE. Because when you are a small country without any economy, you either have to grow exponentially, like you either have to have a crazy growth, or you don't have growth at all. Because for the country without economy, like 0.5 growth, it's nothing. Like you will need 1,000 years to become like normal, economically stable country. So this is only option for countries like ours. Just you either have to, first you have to have economy to regulate it. So I think that's the biggest difference from Europe and Georgia, because Europe already had this huge economy that was like establishing itself for millennia. But Georgia, when we started after the Soviet Union fell, we were like, we don't have any economy at all. So that was the idea of our like former government, as I can understand, to grow economy, to have some kind of economy. So because of that, we drew back on the regulations. And I know it has its downsides, but if you don't have economy, the regulation, you don't need any regulations because it doesn't make any point. So this is the stage of the Georgia. That's why now it is most lucrative stage for the Georgia, because growth is really, really like big, and we're growing really fast. But at some point, I think the regulations will start to kick in, and it will be harder and harder to establish projects like this.
Yeah, I think that's normal, right? So that comes to the point of maturity where the growth has sort of topped out, and you need to regulate. You need to regulate better too. It's such an interesting mix of culture and history as well, because essentially you've gone from total regulation under the Soviet rule to very minimal regulation. It's like a pure shift, and I can't wait to visit soon. Quick message from this episode's sponsor, ML Foundation. Sometimes hope starts with one act. ML Foundation is on the ground in Sudan, turning donations into food, medical care, and protection for children. Don't just talk, donate. If you want real impact, it's right here. The link to ML Foundation is in the show notes. Please donate generously. All right, back to the show. Let's go back to you. I want to talk specifically a little bit more about marketing in Georgia, right? So, here in the GCC, in other places where we have clients, the use of AI is a big topic, and I'm gonna preface my question so that you know where I stand. Like for me, AI is a wonderful tool, a wonderful sparring partner to help already smart people be smarter and faster. But I have a very strong aversion to pure AI content. I really hate it. I hate it with a passion. Now, I know that in some cases you kind of have to use it, but I really think that marketing is a human endeavor, and it's about human emotions and human interactions. And we've even got data. We ran experiments on this over the last few months. We saw that like human content has got like exponentially higher engagement levels on all of the platforms. So in Georgia, What are the main AIs that people are using? Is it different to everywhere else in the world? And what are your views on the future of AI in marketing?
I think it's really you can you can't. We're already in the place that where you can't ignore AI because, as you said, it already suppressed human generated content. I've seen now the new data about it, and it's really especially in marketing, it's really popular because, for starters, it makes your job a lot easier. Especially, for example, if you take my case, it makes easier to analyze the data. It makes easier to research something, and I use it daily, different tools of it, and I guess it's the same. You need for marketing, it's really helpful. For example, for the data sense standpoint, it's really helpful because you have this lot of data that you want to utilize, and AI will help you to do it really fast and quick and act on it. And you also have the other side, the content that you were referring to. It is really lucrative, and sometimes it is just an easy way out to use AI. And in that cases, I think you can see it in the quality of the content, because I don't think that AI is in the place that it can just uh, change. You can just use it as a standard content tool. You can use it as a helper, because for me it also irritates me. You can really see it when, by the way, when I see a good AI work, I can see that there is a lot of work putting into it. So when it is done like that, I think it's okay, and you are using just another new tool to do it. Um, and for the Georgian, on the Georgian marketing, you can, I don't know, it's really popular. We already have a lot of startups, for example, that offer AI services, from chatbots, which is with video calls or audio calls, or text chatbots, to to agents, for example, analytical agents. And basically, in my community, when I talk to anybody in my field, you can see that everybody is using some kind of AI tools in their day-to-day jobs.
Hmm. Yeah, it's not too different to the rest of the world. I always think that people like you have a bias when it comes to AI. So the way I see it is that someone like you, who's like really intelligent, when they use AI, they bring to that experience their own intellect, and that so the AI makes them faster and therefore smarter. Like if you're already smart, then the AI is like a superpower. But I feel like it works the other way too. If you're really stupid or really lazy, the AI really just makes you produce worse, more bad work faster. It doesn't really allow you to produce good work better. So I do a lot of consulting work, and I honestly believe that the future of management consulting is away from the big four. I think the future of management consulting is small teams of one or two or three people with AI, because you get smart people with good MBAs in a room with AIs, and they can produce the work of 30 really well qualified consultants. And I think that's kind of the future of consulting. Levan, look, I've loved having you on the show. I want to ask you one last question. And this is a question I ask all the people who've come from a marketing background. What is the one piece of advice you would give to graduates who are thinking about becoming the marketers of the future?
I think I would give same advice to everyone in every possible field. Like, be work hard and be consistent. I think that's the case in every field that there is in the world. It doesn't matter if it's a sport or or some business industry or whatever. You just have to work hard, be consistent. Sometimes or many times you will see a lot of challenges, but if you just keep going and working, I think you achieve everything that you need in your life. So I don't have any specific. I think this is essential, and if you're doing it, for example, in my case, I started as a graphic designer, and I become in marketing like director. I couldn't imagine that I would be at some point, and right now, I also don't want to think who I will be. I don't know, 10 years after that. I just want to concentrate on the things that I have to do now and work on them consistently and hard. And this is, for me, his approach is more to like not like aim for the destination, but just choose your path and just walk the path. And it will unveil itself and will relieve lots of interesting opportunities in your life that you even could have imagined.
Yeah, I love that. That is really good advice for everyone, marketers and otherwise. Keep showing up, and the path will reveal itself. Thank you so much, Levan, for joining us on the Impact Lab podcast. The answer to the reverse Turing test is in the show notes. All of Levan's links to his LinkedIn and everything else is also in the show notes. And I will see you at the next episode of the Impact Lab podcast.